Today, we have with us a scholar from Mountaintop University presenting on Salawa Abeni, the Moderniser, Women and Development of Nigerian Popular Music. Praise Ajayi is a young, excellence-driven scholar and researcher with research interests in gender studies, Nigerian popular music, ethnomusicology, and global theoretical studies. She holds a Bachelor of Arts in Music from Lagos State University and currently pursues a Master's of Arts in ethnomusicology at the Mountaintop University. In addition to being a scholar, she is a music educator and a performer. She performs in choral groups and plays the violins in orchestra and as well as solo performances. Praise, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much for having me.
We are glad to have you.
Thank
you. Have
you.
the floor.
Good day, everyone. My presentation on this series is centered on Queen Salawa Abeni, the Moderniser, and it explores women and the development of Nigerian popular music. The development of Nigerian popular music has largely been shaped by processes of hybridity, syncretism, and modernity. Several scholars, including Omojola, Waterman, Impey, and O'Brien, have examined these processes, particularly how cultural hybridity is reflected in the sonic and aesthetic expressions of Nigerian popular music. Lucy O'Brien describes popular music as commercially oriented recorded sound that emerges through the blending of diverse musical styles. Similarly, Impey describes African popular music as an embodiment of creative interaction between foreign values and local styles. She further conceptualizes it as a site of adaptation, assimilation, eclecticism, appropriation, and experimentation. In the same vein, Waterman characterizes popular music metaphorically as a public arena for symbolic negotiation of continuity and change. This perspective highlights an important dimension of popular music, which is firstly, its capacity to reflect musical and cultural integration and social transformation. However, they also point us to another critical aspect of popular music, which is human agency. This means popular music does not develop on its own. Rather, it is shaped by the actions and decisions of cultural producers who actively negotiate existing social, cultural, and musical structures. Omojola further explained that popular music is often the product of African musicians' creative reworkings and experimentation with diverse musical forms. He emphasized that this process is illustrative of how African musicians adapt to urbanization in their cultural environments. In addition to all of this, Karen Baba also argues that in understanding and analyzing popular art, it must be understood through two major dimensions, which is first the sociological popular and the aesthetic art. So she broke it into two, popular and arts. So popular is the sociological part, while the art part of it is the aesthetic. So it means that beyond the art, which is the creativity, the sound, the entertainment, popular arts are also a social product that is shaped within societal structures such as family, class, religion, politics, gender, culture, and everyday life. The point at which the two dimensions meet is in the production of the art, not just in its material, but also in its ideational aspects. We need to ask by whom and by what means, in what circumstances, under what constraints, in whose interest, and in accordance with what conventions are these arts produced. Baba's argument shifts attention from the artistic product itself to the conditions under which it is created. She contends that popular arts cannot be understood solely through aesthetic qualities. They must also be examined in relation to the social environment that shaped their production. Therefore, an examination of Salawa Abeni's modernization of Waka music extends beyond changes in its musical structure, but to the conditions and circumstances under which such transformations were produced. While substantial scholarly attention have been devoted to the agency of male band leaders in the development of Nigerian popular music, women who have similarly shaped musical traditions and popular music cultures have often been underexplored. It is within this context that Queen Salawa Abeni becomes particularly significant. Her career provides a valuable lens through which we examine the role of women as active agents in the development of Nigerian popular music. And it raises important questions like, how can the development of Nigerian popular music be understood through the experiences and contributions of female band leaders, particularly within a female-led genre such as Waka music? Also, in addressing this question, it requires a shift in focus from women as mere participants in popular music to women as cultural producers and agents of musical transformation. This study examines how Salawa Abeni asserted agency, negotiated identity, and projected a discourse of modernity in Yoruba popular music through our artistry, performance strategies, and as self-fashioning as the Waka Moderniser. Specifically, the study investigates our musical practices, the sonic experimentation, and negotiation within the music industry, as well as the ways this contributed to the transformation of Waka music and the broader representation of women in Nigerian popular music. This study is grounded in Pierre Bourdieu's theory of practice, particularly his concept of agency, to examine how Salawa Abeni negotiated her position within the Yoruba popular music industry. Bourdieu argues that individuals do not act in isolation. Rather, their actions are shaped by broader social structures, such as the cultural norms, gender relations, systems of power, and economic condition, which create both opportunities and constraints. However, these structures do not completely determine human behavior. Instead, they provide the context within which individuals exercise their agency. Central to this process is habitus, which Bourdieu defines as a system of durable disposition acquired through social experience. It shapes how individuals think, perceive, and act, providing them with practical knowledge for navigating life. Alongside habitus, individuals draw upon different forms of capital, which includes cultural capital. Cultural capitals are like skills and knowledge. Social capitals are networks and relationships. Symbolic capitals, prestige, recognition, position, and so on. And economic capital is material resources. The value of these resources is determined within a field. Now, a field is the social arena, which is characterized by several factors such as competition, power relations, and struggles for legitimacy. For Bourdieu, agency is expressed through practice, that is, the actions and strategies that individuals employ within a field. These practices emerge from the interaction of their habitus, capital, and field, enabling them to improvise and respond to circumstances through what it describes as regulated improvisation. Consequently, agency is not unrestricted freedom, but the capacity to act strategically within existing structures. This framework allows us to examine how Salawa Abeni's habitus informed her agency, how she mobilized different forms of capital within the field of Yoruba popular music, and how these interactions generated practices through which she negotiated identity, accumulated symbolic authority, and transformed aspects of male-dominated musical landscape. Her career demonstrates how individuals can both operate within existing social structures and contribute to their transformation through their creative practices. Now, Waka music. What is Waka music? Waka music is described as a new traditional Yoruba musical genre, which is predominantly performed and led by women. It is characterized by rich vocal texture, call and response structure, rhythmic percussion, and expressive lyrical delivery. The genre is closely associated with Islamic musical traditions and is practiced mainly by Muslim women, particularly in southwestern Nigeria. Waka is also characterized by features like praise singing, proverbial expressions, and communal participation. It is generally rendered in Yoruba with Arabic and Hausa expressions. Waka music, however, has not always been one with rich instrumental texture. Historically, Waka music used to be accompanied with just hand clapping and later graduated to the use of seli. So, to provide a sense of what seli looked and sounded like in its earlier form, I would like us to watch a short performance by Batile Alake. She is one of the notable practitioners of Waka music.
Allahumma ya Rabbi, salli ala Muhammad, fasaidi sadati Nabi Muhammad, Nabi Muhammad, Nabi Muhammad. Wọ́n máa gbé lẹ́yìn wa.
This performance reflects some of the foundational characteristics of Waka music. It is often performed at a moderate tempo and performed while seated, like in a seated position, like the way Apala music is performed. However, this genre, Waka music, has not remained static. It has not remained this way. Through the creative decisions and interventions of its practitioners, Waka has undergone significant transformations over time. It is within this context that I examine how Salawa Abeni contributed to the reshaping and modernization of the genre. I explore Salawa Abeni's contribution to the development of Waka music, particularly a concept of modernity, in 3 phases: the beginning, the middle, and the mature phase. So the beginning phase captures Salawa Abeni's formative years as a Waka musician. She began her career at the age of 9, gained national prominence with her album titled Late Moritala Ramat Mohammed when she was 15, and it became a commercially successful album that established her presence within the Nigerian music industry. The success of the record provided her with both visibility and influence, positioning her as an emerging figure in Yoruba popular music. At the same time, her musical interest as a young and aspiring musician was shaped by exposure to established musicians, which she would always listen to on the radiogram, such as Sikiru Ayinde Barrister, Yusuf Olatunji, Ebenezer Obey, and King Sunny Ade. She paid homage to this musician in her second album titled Iba Agba. So I would like us to listen to just an excerpt from her song Iba Agba.
Ìbà fọ́mọdé pẹ̀lú àgbà o, àṣẹ̀dá ẹbí ṣẹ̀bà o. Ìbà fọ́mọdé pẹ̀lú àgbà o, àṣẹ̀dá ẹbí ṣẹ̀bà o. Àjúbà fáwọn, àjúwájú ọ̀rẹ́ àjúbà fáwọn, àjúwájú ọ̀rẹ́ fọ́mọdé júbà, fọ́mọdé júbà. Olójúbà, olójúbà, àjúbà fáwọn, àrùnà, àjúbà fáwọn, bàbá wa náà jẹ́, ẹ jẹ́ kó yé wa o, bàbá wa náà jẹ́, ẹ jẹ́ kó yé wa o, àníkìlájé, ọkọ̀ táwà kábàbà bí ẹ̀fọ́, àníkìlájé, ọkọ̀ táwà kábàbà bí ẹ̀fọ́. Ẹ jẹ́ kó yé wa ọmọ wúrà mọ́ o, ẹ jẹ́ kó yé wa ọmọ wúrà mọ́ o, mọ̀ká ibà nìgáyì bàbá rí síká, mọ̀ká ibà nìgáyì bàbá rí síká. Ẹ jẹ́ kó yé wa alálàdé o, ẹ jẹ́ kó yé wa alálàdé o, ọkọ Bísí. Kọ́lá wọlé. Àjíyájì ọkọ Bísí. Ẹ jẹ́ kó yẹ wá. Kọ́lí tí mi ò ní ṣe bá. Ẹ jẹ́ kó yẹ wá. Kọ́lí tí mi ò ní ṣe bá. Olówó yọ.
All right, so from our song here, it reflects our eventual practice of our habitus, which she has gathered, through our formative phase, and have been internalized through our exposure to the media, radio broadcasts, public performances of these musicians, Islamic performance traditions, and interactions with diverse popular music practices, all of which would later inform a transformation of Waka music. The second phase is marked by Salawa Abeni's transition to Kollington Records and a marriage to the Fuji musician Kollington Ayinla. This development coincided with notable changes in her musical style. Her performances increasingly drew on elements associated with urban Fuji culture, particularly in their vocal delivery, the rhythmic intensity, the percussion organization, and improvisatory approach. As a result, our music acquired a more energetic and heightened rhythmic layered sound, while remaining rooted in the Waka tradition. I would like us to listen to this excerpt of a song from our album titled Indian Waka. So that was an excerpt from Indian Waka, and it reflects our creative engagement with sounds associated with Indian film music. Similar to the ornamentation found in Indian classical vocal traditions, such as the raga, which is the Melakata system, the scale structure of Indian music, where singers use elaborate vocal movements and stretch a single syllable across multiple pitches. In this excerpt, Abeni incorporates comparable techniques into our vocal expression of Waka. She employs pitch bending, sliding, and rapid melodic movements that transform our Waka chant into a more fluid and ornamented vocal style. We could hear it from the way she sang in that excerpt, and these adaptations demonstrate our ability to absorb external musical influences and reinterpret them within the aesthetic framework of Waka music. The third phase is marked by another transition to a new record label following a divorce from Kollington. This phase embodied Salawa Abeni's modernity in its mature form. I'll be playing two excerpts from some of our albums in this mature phase, and the difference is really clear, so I'm going to play that now.
Jẹ́ntúlẹ́dí ni mi èmi kì í ṣe fáìtà o. Kẹ́nikẹ́ni má tì mí lọ síbi ìjà. Jẹ́ntúlẹ́dí ni mi èmi kì í ṣe fáìtà o. Kẹ́nikẹ́ni má tì mí lọ síbi ìjà. Jẹ́ntúlẹ́dí ni mi èmi kì í ṣe fáìtà o. Kẹ́nikẹ́ni má tì mí lọ síbi ìjà. Jẹ́ntúlẹ́dí ni mi èmi kì í ṣe fáìtà o. Kẹ́nikẹ́ni má tì mí lọ síbi ìjà.
All right, I really enjoyed that presentation of Waka. So here I argue that Salawa Abeni's concept of modernity was played out in three distinct ways. The first concerned its instrumentation, particularly the addition of more indigenous and Western musical instruments also, and its musical form, that is the form of the music. So it's no longer like a thorough composed kind of music that they used to do. It had, and call and response, they used to do call and response too, but this one was more defined. And the second one is that it's our concept of modernity manifested in its visual representation, like we saw in the video of Gentle Lady, and its performative expressions, particularly its departure from the seated form of performance. The third distinct way was evident in the genre's commercial and business organization. So Salawa Abeni, in that excerpt from a Cheer Up album, made use of intros. She made use of interludes and extensive musical instrumental solos, which transformed the musical texture of Waka music and its entire structure. These distinct elements contributed elaborately to a new style, which distinguished a sound from earlier music performances, Waka music performances. The Cheer Up album was released in 1992, and as we heard, that was the beginning of the Cheer Up album. It's opened with a 5-bar introduction, which featured a keyboard and drum set accompaniment with some indigenous musical instruments, and is structured in a simple quadruple time meter alongside other indigenous musical instruments, like I mentioned. The melodic progression is mainly played to a diatonic scale with an infusion of flattened third notes at several intervals. The incorporation of melodic Western musical instruments transformed the tonal organization of Waka music, which in its earlier phase was rendered through more fluid and on different tonal structures. The introduction of these melodic musical instruments provided harmonic stability and enabled the music to sustain a more consistent tonal center throughout the performance. This modernized Waka style thus gravitated towards the syncretic fusion of the harmonious juju style and the melorhythmic structure characteristic of Fuji style. The background vocals were no longer restricted to female voices. She also incorporated male background vocalists. Her background vocals also shifted from unison singing to two-part harmonic textures. In the latter part of the Cheer Up album, there were, harmony in two parts there. Aside from the modernization of the musical structure of Salawa Abeni's music, the lyrical organization also reflected modernization, and through the use of English and popular urban slangs, contributing to the modern appeal and accessibility of Awaka music to a wider audience. The second is the visual representation and performative expression of Awaka music. It was evident through an energetic stage performance, contrasting with the seated mode of performance prominent among early Waka musicians. Even though Salawa Abeni stated that her initial decision to perform while standing was influenced by a very young age at the start of her career. When Salawa Abeni started her career, she started at a very young age. So she found it's not going to speak well if she's also sitting down to perform. So she changed it into an energetic form of performance where she stands to perform with the instrumentalist and all. And it became a distinct feature. It became a distinct feature that even now, in her mid-60s, she still actively stands to perform and engages her audience through vigorous dance movements and dynamic stage presence. Another aspect of her visual representation is evident in her costume, particularly fashion styles that reflect the American popular culture. Examples of such clothing are the oversized jackets, Silverstone face caps, like that we saw in the Gentle Lady video, 3/4 trousers, glittering jewelry, bandanas, jeans, beret, and other related accessories, like we saw in the video. In that Gentle Lady video, she was wearing a jean jacket with the inscription of Top Star written boldly behind her back. And also in the video, we could see the use of disco and stage lights in some scenes. Nevertheless, Yoruba cultural attire was not abandoned completely. We have understood that modernity is not just the abandonment of our own of the indigenous music, but it's a conglomerate, a coming together, a fusion of different cultures. This further highlights, the syncretism evidence in the use of our costume, and it's demonstrated our artistic presentation, especially through a negotiation between indigenous identity and global popular culture. The third distinct form of modernization is the restructuring of the business of our music career. In an interview, Salawa explained that in her early stage as a young musician, she paid little attention to the financial aspect of her art. Her youthful inexperience and limited educational background contributed significantly to a lack of involvement in the financial administration of her music. Consequently, she remained dependent on older members of her band, and she accepted whatever financial compensation was remunerated to her. However, over her years of active participation in the field, she gained financial understanding of her music business, and she introduced management principles and became the first female band leader to acquire an office space in the capital city of Lagos in the year 1991. And during this period also, she was officially named the Queen of Waka music by the Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Lamidi Adeyemi, in the year 1992. In addition to restructuring her music business, she also positions and advertises her brand, showing her availability for paid performances for several occasions, such as weddings, burials, housewarming, and other related events. Salawa Abeni's musical trajectory serves as a concrete illustration of Bourdieu's concept of agency, structure, habitus, and capital within Nigerian popular culture as a field.
Speaking of capital, our cultural capital is embedded in our musical talents, in our skills, in our experiential knowledge that she has honed throughout the distinct phases of music phases of our career trajectory. Even our previous marriage to the Fuji musician, it brought together two worlds, Fuji, Waka coming together. It also served as a form of capital for her, where our fan base is based, with the shipping in quotes of two popular musicians. Salawa Abeni's social capital was reflected in a network of relationships with both the Yagba, the elders, and the Omode, the young ones within the industry. She had deliberately built a respectable and cordial relationship with popular musicians in the industry, with patrons and matrons alike, which thus strengthened and helped her to be fully established in the same field. Furthermore, the Alaafin of Oyo's conferment of the title Queen of Waka solidified her symbolic status within the Waka music tradition and the popular music industry at large. These are important artistic and performative strategies that facilitated a navigation through an already saturated and male-dominated music field. An internalized disposition thus informed the capacity to negotiate visibility and maintain relevance, and not just that, and transforming Waka music as a genre. In conclusion, modernity for Salawa Abeni is not only fixated on the sonic experimentation, but it also manifests in its performance practice, the structural organization of our music entrepreneurship. In addition, a life story provides a concrete example in understanding Bourdieu's theory of practice, particularly its concept of agency, habitus, field, and capital. A life story projects how women navigate and negotiate their agency within constrained structures, particularly in a patriarchal society that is influenced by Western colonial systems. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Praise, for that presentation. I definitely enjoyed it, and I hope that our viewers also enjoyed it. It was very insightful. Thank you. Before I ask you all to ask your questions and to clarify anything that you think you might need, I would like to tell us about our social media page. Please follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The link will be in the chat box. So please follow us on Facebook and on Instagram, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is like an archive that has works that comprises of everything that we've been doing for the couple of years. It's useful for scholars, composers, performers. We've had people all over in this profession coming to talk about their own niche. And so I promise there will be something in there that will be useful to you. And I would also like to remind us about our upcoming symposium that is going to be next month. I hope we're all getting ready to come for the symposium. We will be expecting you. Now, I'm throwing the ball into the audience. Would anybody like to ask questions, like to clarify something, or would even like to add to whatever our presenter has said today? You can use the emoji to raise up your hands. Okay, the link to our YouTube page is on our chat box. So do well to click on it. You would enjoy it. So while we're waiting for everyone to talk about, for people to ask questions, I would like to ask you a question, Praise. Could you tell us a bit more about your fieldwork experience? How were you able to get these informations? What were the processes that you went through in gathering this information? And was there a specific interaction with Salawa Abeni that shifted your perspective on this topic?
All right, thank you very much. So the methodology for my research was actually based on digital ethnography, like Gilman and Fenn explained. Ethnography in this age is not restricted to your physical presence. So I made use of, I also went to archives to get like a catalog over the years and through these phases. And I also met at the previous festival that was held last year. Yes, Aria Eco, and I was really fascinated. She was being awarded as one of the I'll put it in quotes, legends in the Nigerian popular space. And what actually fascinated me to her is how when you hear Waka, you hear Salawa Abeni, and it's almost synonymous. So that was it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for answering my question. So I'm still waiting for our audiences. If you have any questions, I'm still waiting for our audience. If you have any question, please raise your hand. You can raise your hand. You can send emojis, and you can even type your questions to the chat box, and then we would read out. Okay, we're still waiting.
Hello,
Yes,
can you hear me?
can hear you. Yes, please.
Yes, my name is Samuel Joseph.
Good.
Yeah, I'd like to appreciate Praise for that fascinating presentation, particularly, for our insight into Salawa Abeni's musical production and how our contribution shaped, the development of Yoruba popular music in particular. Ideas of the way she explored, the way the presenter explored or illuminated Bourdieu's ideas of, theories of practice and then the layers of these practices or what shaped this theory is also quite informative. What I'd like to know is that what were the presenter placed so much emphasis on the music, the sound, the design and all that. But I'm also interested because, like you said in your presentation, especially if we look at this case study through the lens of Bourdieu, and now there are other fields of play, within this agency, and how she has gathered capital or acquired capital to play in this field. I was wondering if the presenter could give us one or two examples of these fields. For example, one of the fields of play from what she said or from her presentation is the field of marriage. And after that marriage, her music changed. Even the text of her song, she said, "Gentle lady, Nimu, you she fighter." That also, that sound alone, that textual, that text also, raises some question about how she engaged, or how she engaged the field of, marriage and music, politics and all that. So I'm just wondering if Praise can help us, throw more light on these fields and how she used, you have talked about the music, but like you said in your introductory comments, drawing from Baba, that music is not just, just art, but it's also, it's also playing within a bigger field, political, economic, and all that. So I'll be glad to hear one or two examples. I mean, outside, how she transformed the music, but how did the sociological, I mean, which is also important, for etymological discourses. That's one. Two, I was excited when somebody asked the question of methodology, which you responded to that yours was more of, I mean, you approached it from a digital ethnomusicology dimension, and that ethnomusicology has gone beyond, the physical presence of the researcher. And what exactly particularly was when you said you met her. So I was saying, wow, this is an opportunity. So I was just going to ask, why didn't you follow up on, because it would be nice to get our own insight, which will give your work, deeper insight, especially into local meaning, into what this modernization in Salawa Abeni's thought is. So I just wanted to know if this is a study that is ongoing, if you can explore the opportunity of meeting Salawa Abeni, because that will nuance your work, and we cannot really understand what she's really modernizing or what was our own understanding of modernization, in addition to your own analytical, presentation. But again, I need to thank you very much for this. Well,
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Ajayi. Thank you. So, yes, I made reference to popular and the heart, that the heart is the aesthetic part, while the popular has to do with the sociological part. And in relating it with Bourdieu's theory of practice, field habitus, there were several factors that played out in how Salawa Abeni, negotiated and asserted her agency throughout these 3 phases. Now, the formative phase, she came in as a child, and she came in through politics. Her first album was on the death of the General Ramat Mohammed, and it resonated with the people at that time because it was a time of national mourning. They were mourning, like I perceive, a great leader that would have turned their lives around and that would have turned Nigeria as a country around. And also her age, she made use of symbolic capital of politics and also our age. So it fascinated people, and she dwelt on that. A second album, which is the Ibagba, she also made use of our cultural capital by paying homage to the elders. In most of interviews I came across, Salawa Abeni always say that I'm not the one that started Waka. I met people doing this. I met people in the business of music. And she always plays that out in her lyrics. It informs her lyrics, how she pays homage to them. She mentions their name. And the later parts of I'm trying to give context to how Bourdieu plays in this. The later part in the initial stage was also characterized by rivalry. During that time, there was also Kuburat Alaragbo and stuff. So they were always releasing songs that, dissing one another indirectly. And it was even during this time that she even had issues with Collington before she eventually got married to him, which was the middle phase. Marriage was one of the major capital that Salawa Abeni used in negotiating space. When we listen further to some of our songs, she says, when you mention Salawa, when you mention Waka, you mention Salawa. When you mention Fuji, you mention Collington. So it informed her lyrics, her lyrical delivery. It informed it. She always mentioning how she's blessed to be with Collington and stuff. And Another thing that informed messages and lyrics in her songs was even after a divorce. So it was after a divorce she did Gentle Lady. So there were controversies everywhere on how she lived and stuff. And I came across a particular interview where she explained how she came about that Gentle Lady. If time permits me, I'll just say the story. She said she was driving her children to school and someone kind of hit her car. And normally one would want to fight and stuff like that, but she's like, I'm a gentle lady, I'm not a fighter. And according to her, she said she had to record that part. And Gentle Lady now became something that she was really known for. It now became, would I call it like a nickname or something that she became known for it. So during her mature phase, it was a time that she used to really establish herself. She made use of, the controversies of people, and she turned it into power for herself. And that was basically how a mature phase came about. It became a season of a fully formed matriarch, someone who knew her identity, and thus during this time she asserted it further that I'm a modernizer and I'm the queen of Waka music. So thank you very much. Your second question, you talked about it being an ongoing work. It's actually an aspect of my ongoing work, my master's thesis. Thank you very much, Dr. Ajose.
All right, thank you so much, Praise. Dr.
Yeah, Prince. Sorry. Okay, sorry. Just to Prince. Hello, Prince.
Sir, I can hear you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for your response. I mean, maybe if you had provided this context, my question wouldn't have, you
Oh,
know, Okay, so and then one layer I think you may want to explore
okay.
is to look at at the text of a song and then see how she's also, critiquing some uh issues around gender and what are the beyond the sound that we have talked about, what
Yeah.
are other issues that what are other issues of modernity she's trying to advocate for or she's trying to challenge,
Okay.
because when she even said gentility ni okinse fighter, that also sounds some prescriptive ideas of women or what a woman should be.
Mm-hmm. I can't hear again. Is it network?
Timba modernize wa if I want to remember that text again,
There is
you
not
know
been doing that.
so what is that? Yes. So what is our understanding of, how does she, reference this modernity, this ideas of modernity in her own sense, also negotiating it with language, which you pointed out, instrumentation. So it would be nice to look at the text, which is very important because what people embody, they say it. What people embody, they say it. So maybe by the time your work is completed and maybe you have the opportunity of presenting again, I look forward to gender issues around gender conversations that are going on, and how she's also speaking for bigger issues of women oppression and other issues that concern me. Otherwise, thank you for this presentation.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Dr. Adeoluwa Okunade.
Thank you, Praise, and thank you, MTU again, the department, the coordinator of this program, Dr. Arinde, and the other members of that team. I'm so excited I'm always excited to be here anyway. And when I got this topic again, I felt very comfortable that there's a good growth. Our graph is growing within that musical space in that environment. God bless MTU and the organ house. Now, if the question I'm asked, if you have said it before I came, forgive me. I was in another meeting before I just quickly came to join. You talked about the I guess the emergence of Salawa Abeni and this her ascendancy into the limelight, into what you call modern music or modernity. Now, I'm asking this one an educative spirit now. Do we have a male Waka band? Dr. Adese mentioned about each of we get engaged in gender conversation about this. Because when we talk of this gender equality, gender stuff, we are not also looking at there are some areas that a particular gender dominates.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a male Waka band? That is one. Then number two, if you have not looked into it, if you want to look into the future, since these are ongoing work, because when you start talking of palm wine music, high life, juju, try to take that history along that lane. Do we have a relationship? Does Waka have a relationship with Akpala, Dadakwada, around that area? Maybe somewhere Fuji. You know, this all these 3 or 4 genres of music could be seen as Islamic socio-religious music, so to say, as some of us have categorized them. Yes, Muslims don't use music as part of the official worship. What they use is more of cantillation. But there are socio-religious music. If you look at juju music, use that is more dominated. You have Christian influence there. Even in the text, even in the arrangement, if you look at it very well. If you look at Fuji, you look at Waka, you look at Dakwada, you look at Akwala, you have more Muslims singing it, you have Muslim Islamic oriented traits there. So do we have such Akwala, Waka, Dakwada, Fuji? If you don't have a response to it, I just think it's probably another thing for us to look at as an ongoing work. But I want to just find out, do you have a male-dominated Waka band among the Waka musicians? Thank you, please.
Thank you, Professor Okwande. Thank you very much. So, looking at the linguistic meaning of Waka, Waka actually means song in Hausa language. And looking at it historically, Waka is actually performed by women, just women. So with the introduction of Waka to the southwestern part of Nigeria, the Muslim women also took it up, and it became a genre that was mainly led by women. When I was given a description of Waka music, I said it's a female-led genre. So whether there are other genres that are mainly male generated, that is also named Waka, out, maybe something that would look into. And you also asked if Waka is related to Juju, Akpala, and the likes. So speaking from the lens of Salawa Abeni was influenced by all of these genres. Hello? So Salawa Abedi was influenced by all of these genres, by contact with these genres. So it definitely played out in our own style of Waka. So that's why in the mature phase of Salawa Abeni, we could, like Gentle Lady, the intro of Gentle Lady came in like Afro Juju. The beat came in like a rhythmic pattern that you can hear in Afro Juju style. So it was like a meetup, like a meeting point. It was a creative adaptation by Salawa Abeni. So yeah, there's definitely relationship between all of this genre, especially for the fact that it's related with music, with Islam traditions. So on the part of if a male only worker, it's going to be another research that we'll look into. Thank you very much for your contribution, sir.
Thank you, Praise. You did well. You responded well. Maybe just for all of us and for those who have the knowledge before us, anyway. What I was trying to say was when you want to start talking of juju, high life, power, we start from power music at times, listening that way. I was just thinking of whether we have such a thing in Waka music. Not just Salawa. Salawa is not the originator of Waka music.
Yes,
It's
sir.
been there. But she popularized it, as you said, at
Yeah.
least in South. Yes. So I'm just thinking, I'm asking an educative spirit still, whether we have such bedrock, what you can say as bedrock. I'm saying traditional music is the bedrock of modern music. Whether we have some genres that serve as bedrock to Waka music. It's not a thing for us to know, but just for us to have in mind. And maybe since all of us are researchers, we want to keep looking at that because I think Batile Alake was even before Salawa.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I made mention of that. Like,
Just
and
like to see that what type of music evolved to Waka. I know that you can do that for us in the nearest future, not now, not at this presentation. But I want to quickly say that your presentation style, your slides are very, very educative, and I have learned from it. God bless you. Thank you.
thank you very much, Professor Kwade.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Shinwo, you have the floor. Hello, Dr. Shinwo. Are you there?
You are muted, Dr. Uwaje. If you are speaking, we can't hear you. You are muted.
All right, so while we're waiting for Dr. Waje, does anybody, somebody sent a message to the chat box. Said, thank you, Praise, for this excellent presentation. I would like to know if there are young girls following in the footsteps of Salawa Abeni today. So, Praise, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. So, Salawa Abeni mentioned that when she started her band, her own style of Waka Moderniser, where she added keyboard, saxophone, and jazz, like she called it. She said she had people who were with her, and there were some that left because they also wanted to go and start the same thing. And she said something that was very profound. She said, I don't want Waka to die. So she's actually happy that we have people who are, following our footstep. But I think the issue is that of visibility. That of visibility in our highly digitalized world of today. It takes I don't know if how am I going to put it right now? I don't know how much of them are we going to see. So I think that's like the work of researchers like us. And I remember one Omojola's work on Waka, Badamosi Monsurat, yes, in his work Identity Agency and Yoruba music, yeah. So he explored the work of Monsurat Gbadamosi. She's a Waka singer in Ilorin. So there are definitely young people who are into Waka. The only bridge between us knowing them is visibility, and we also as researchers, researching their work. Yeah, I mentioned, he said I should give us their name. I mentioned one, Gbadamosi Monsurat. There's also another one, Abeni Oniwaka. That's her stage name. So those are like the two that I know that are younger to Salawa Abeni.
And I think more research needs to be done for us to know. So when we know, we would let you know. Dr. Shinwaje, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, good. Good. Sorry, my laptop that I was using to listen to this seminar was the one that was misbehaving. So anyway, I had to log into another device. So thank you, Praise, for your presentation. I came in a pinch late but from what I listened, from what I saw, what I listened to, it was a very good and educative and informative presentation that you did. So well done there. I have like 3 issues that I want to point out, like I want to interrogate. One of them is like something like a question. The 2 are more like observations and things that I think we can do better on. So the first
Sha, we can't hear you. Hello, sir. We can't hear you.
one is the issue of modern Benin's music. Maybe you can you hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, but
Hello?
can you come again?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh yes, this is good, sir.
Okay. Okay. Did you hear what I've said so far, or should I start again?
Sir, we were talking about the first issue, so we'd like to get the first issue.
Start again, sir. Start
Yes,
again, Dr.
yes,
Wadi. You are
yes.
freezing. Start again.
Okay, I said that. Yes, thank you, Praise, for a very beautiful presentation. Now, first of all, I'd like to interrogate 3 issues, 3 matters. The first one is the issue of modernity. You talked about modernity, how modernity came to influence Salawa Abeni's music, and then also you talked about structural organization of her music. I'd like to know if you could just maybe do a very, very short recap on, do a something that could, throw more light on how her structure, the structural organization of her music was being affected by modernity, at least as at the time that she was singing, whichever of her releases, as at the time. That's the first one. So the issue of modern and structural organization, how that was affected by modernity, as at the time that she was doing whichever of her releases and that she came up with. That's the first one. Then the second one is something that I noticed online. I went online to search for I noticed that in the discography on Wikipedia, for example, the discography, of course, meaning the list of her works of the albums that she released. I could see that what was listed on Wikipedia was from 1976 to 1999. So from 1999, I'm asking a question: is it that she didn't read on another site? It is listed from that 1976 to 2004, I think 2003 or 2004. So I'm now asking that, is it that she has not released any album since 2004 to this 2026? Maybe that needs to be looked at by a scholar like you who has now started looking at her work. Then the third one is this album that she released, Gentle Lady. Now I'm wondering that, was that phrase, Gentle Lady, when she did it, was that phrase not something like a pushback, or perhaps even a cover-up on the persona that she had gathered, during the time, around the time of her divorce with Kollington Ayinla. Her divorce, with him happened, to have some, or perhaps even a lot of acrimony. There was a lot of, they are fighting left, right, and center, throwing all sorts of abuses at themselves, even in albums. So I was wondering that, is that the phrase "gentle lady"? Was that not like something that she used to assert herself again as a gentle person, and not just someone who's busy fighting divorces and fighting husband here and there? So I just wanted to maybe if you have some more stuff or information you could share on that, because I remember that back then in those days, there was a lot of fighting acrimony between her and Kollington Ayinla, before they finally now divorced. And it was about that time, I don't know whether it is after or before the divorce, that the Gentle Lady album came up. So maybe you could shed a bit more light on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wadi. So I'm going to start from the last one. So the Gentle Lady album was released after divorce with Kollington. And I also like to point out something, that the fight between she and Kollington did not only start during the divorce. Even before they got married, they were fighting. So that was when she was still with Leader Records, married to the record label owner then. So their fight was something that was based on their personal relationship, and asking that gentle lady could asserting herself as a gentle lady could also be a means whereby she further assert herself in in the industry as a Waka musician, because there were a lot of controversies, which also included that, yeah, it was because she was married to Kollington, that's why she had a wider fan audience, which could be true, and which is actually even true. But coming out again and asserting herself as gentle lady, it shows freedom. It shows that, yes, I am a woman. I am a woman not because I'm married to a man. That's the way I can explain it. Like, I'm a woman not because I'm married to a man. And this gentle lady actually announced her further and gave her global recognition. I came across one of her interview where she said that it seemed as though she had not even released any song before. It seemed as though that was her first song, because even till now, wherever she's called upon, gentle lady is the song on everyone's lip. And he also asked that, did she release anything after the 1990s? So I think in the 2000s, she lost her son. So, and according to her, she had to give herself a break from singing. But currently, Salawa Abeni is still actively into performance. She does more of live performances, unlike the recording they do before. She does more of live performances, and the I think some performances after during the 2000s were performances after outside the country. There's one Salawa Abeni live in Europe. There's one also Beware too. So, and currently Salawa Abeni's song is being will I say sampled. It's been sampled. There's one that was released by Lagos Little Records, which is Motunde Moshende, which is one of our songs that she has done some years back. And it is being sampled with amapiano and current hip hop Afrobeat styles. And she herself said that she's a Gen Z, so they should not put her aside. So, and the first question on structure of modernity. So I said that I argue that modernity was not just based on um, I argue that modernity was not just based on um, the sonic experimentation. It also manifests in structural organization of our business. I think that was where I used the word structural organization of our business. So it was a form of economic agency, I would say. So a form of economic agency for her. And so it was no longer the way Waka music would be performed communally. They just give them thorough kobo. Like Batila Ake said, then they usually invite them with 1 shilling, 10 kobo, and they wouldn't mind. They will walk in the rain, in the sun to the venue just to perform. And even Salawa Abeni said when she started, she really did not care about the money, but later, as she advanced in her career, she gained more knowledge and ensured that that structure is put in place. So that's one aspect where modernity played out. And also in a song, in a lyrical delivery, in a text. So it was no longer just Yoruba or Arabic chants. She also made use of slangs, like now, Gentle Lady. In her album Cheer Up, the first track was in pure English, where I don't know, Professor Doctor, if you were, I played like an excerpt of her track Cheer Up album, where the first track was basically English. She sang in English. So it was also a form of modernity for her. Like she has sat in that song. If I modernize Waka, there is no harm in doing that. So I think that's one of the ways. Modernity played out in Salawa Abeni's song, and Another way it played out in the musical structure is in the instrumentation. I came across an interview where she said, in Waka music, they usually use one omele before. I added four, I added more. So it was not like an entire departure of the indigenous traditional instrument. She added more of that, which gave it an acted layered texture, rhythmic texture, plus jazz and quotes, as she put it. Which is the keyboard, the guitar, and everything. There's one picture on one of my slides where you could see her on the stage with the band, with the bass guitarist, with the drum set, and one wouldn't even think that it's a new traditional music that wants to be performed there. So it just speaks volume of how she has transformed it in her own way. So I don't know if I was able to address the questions well, but this is where I'm going to stop now. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope she answered your question, Dr. Owaji. We will be taking just one more person. Dr. Samuel, just say I can see your hands up. Do you want to speak?
Yes, thank you. I was just curious to know if it was or if it yes, let me use it was because it's an historic conversation. If it was entirely true that Salawa Abeni transformed this music, and I speak this, I talk about this from the place of power in the instrumental section of female-led band. What do I mean? Studies have shown, previous studies, whether in Africa, in Nigeria, and other places, that even when women lead, music ensemble, the instrumental section is usually led by men, dominated by men. So, and the place of the music industry in this whole transformation, and I give an example from my own research that I did, with another female band, but this time a gospel band. They told me how their instrumentation changed, not because of their own decision, but because of the the music industry. What's it called? The chairman of their record labels at that time. The owner of the record label. So what I'm saying is that we should not neglect other sub currents that also contributed to this modernization that Salah Benin seems to proclaim, as that if I modernize. So what I'm saying is that we must also think of the back end, that is the instrumentation session. How many females are there? If the instrumental section or the band section was male dominated, this also has implication for the whole, for this transformative process that Salah Benin seems to embody and to unpack. So I'm just saying that maybe in your analysis or your discussion, don't lose sight. It's very important that even when women lead, men still hold the place the instrumental section. So I just felt I should call your attention. And if you want to check Koskov, Koskov and others, and this lady in Isuka who wrote something on music and empowerment or disempowerment among women. There are other female voices, Nigerian scholars, female scholars who I think their work will shed light. In terms of now doing your analysis and description, especially interpretation, especially you may want to look at this perspective of this back end of the band. The band is female led, but what is happening with the industry, producers, recording agents, recording engineers, drummers, and all that. Thank you again for this deep conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, Dr. Ajayi, your hands were raised up. Are you there, Dr. Ajayi? Okay, so while we're waiting for Dr. Ajayi, Professor Okwade, please say you have the floor.
Well, thank you. Just in addition to what Dr. Adjose just said, trying to beef up your literature, our literature as it concerns all of us now. Maybe you can look, if you have not looked at it before, look at Stephen Olusoji's work. I think maybe it's master's or thesis on this Waka. It will really help a lot. He did a lot of work on Waka, on Salawa Abeni. I think the analysis, the thematic analysis, all those stuff there. So that just reminded me as Dr. Adese was speaking. So you can look at his work, maybe master's or PhD thesis. And I think he has written some articles online about it too. That will also help us. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Ajayi, are you there? Okay, sir. Okay, so we will be rounding up this session of the Organized Concert and Seminar Series. Thank you so much for joining us on today's Organized Concert and Seminar Series. I trust that it was a wonderful experience for you. I totally enjoyed myself. Once again, I would like to remind us about our YouTube page. You should please subscribe to our YouTube page. Like I said earlier, it is an archive that comprises of different works that will be useful to researchers, performers, composers, and even students. And also, I would like to remind us about our upcoming symposium that is going to be starting next month. Please, we would be expecting you and Towel to be there. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Hello?
Oh, please.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, sorry. I'm sorry I came in late. I mean to ask the question. Chris, that was a very good presentation. So I've been hearing people's comments concerning that as well. But I want to point out something. I don't know if you actually made mention of it. Um, as regards identity, gender identity in your work. I don't know if I missed that before I joined the seminar. Sorry, I was just going to point out that. I don't know if it's part of your presentation today. I mean, you presented that already before I came in. Thank you.
Oh, yes, sir. So, modernity is related with gender too, as a woman in a dominated popular music industry, so where males are dominated in the popular music space. So it was centered on that.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. To everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. We see you next week, same time. Have a wonderful day.